Ladies and gentlemen, it's time now for 502 Sports. Hey everyone, welcome to a new edition of 502 Sports, brought to you by our friends at Take Tie. I'm your host, Adam Hitt, alongside Adam Wilkinson and Jimmy Nolan. We have a fantastic show for you today with lots to discuss, gentlemen, so I think we should jump right in. But I did want to ask, kind of see what you guys have been up to lately and what kind of spring sports you guys are, really looking forward to coming up here shortly.
Personally, kind of been dealing, family and kids and coaching some t-ball and getting ready to get into some softball as well. But outside of that, as far as spring sports go, anything that gets outside, get away from the cold and the snow. Just glad it's getting warmer out and being able to be outdoors more.
Yeah, no, personally, I miss football. So with the college and the NFL, taking their breaks, NBA's been on a little bit, watch a little hockey, baseball, spring training has finally started back up.
Catchers reported not too long ago.
I was watching a spring training baseball game earlier today. So, it's kind of nice to get that back, as a big baseball fan as I am. I personally like seeing it, but it was cool watching the Olympics, during this time off. So, got my curling fix in.
Big fan of biathlon. Don't know why I could watch biathlon.
How about those USA men and women hockey teams?
That was awesome.
Sweeping the gold. I loved watching that.
Yes.
So it was the season after football still had its excitement for sure. Golf starting, coming right around March
Masters.
Madness, the Masters, exactly. So there's still plenty to look forward to. But like Adam mentioned earlier, the kiddos are getting involved in their school sports, and it's been a lot of fun just kind of watching them play and have fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know. What's your all's favorite? What was your favorite Olympic sport that you watched? I know you mentioned curling, Jimbo, but what's your favorite one?
Okay, so is it the sport or the one that we had the most fun watching? Because the USA beating Canada was the most fun,
right?
And it, in my opinion, was the most entertaining, especially when they brought out the late Johnny Gaudreau's kids to celebrate. For those that don't know, he recently died in a car accident. Was more than likely going to be a key figure on the U.S. hockey team. So that was really cool. And as a father, it brought a couple tears to my eyes to see that they were thoughtful enough to get his kids on the ice for the team picture afterwards, and just let the family know that he was still with them. That was super cool. As far as the sports, I'm always a curling fan. I think that's super cool. And guilty pleasure would be what's the skiing and the shooting?
Biathlon.
Is that what it is?
Yes.
Biathlon?
I like watching that a lot.
I don't know why, but
it's
I'm starting to get into
oddly
that.
addicting to watch.
I just like when they miss the target, I'm like, oh, we got to go do the penalty lap. That's a shame. And I don't know why, but I kind of like watching that. It's boring as all get up until they get into the range. But once they're in the range, you're like, ooh, so it's I love the Olympics in general. I really do.
Yes.
So I had a lot of fun with that.
So my favorite is probably ski jumping to watch.
Oh,
don't know why, but I could sit there and watch them do that. And this year they had a drone fly over top of the ski jumpers as they were going, so you kind of get their point of view, and it was really cool to see.
Yeah, I noticed they had a lot of the drone camera shots in the Olympics this year. They did a lot with the bobsledding and the luge and the skeleton. A lot with the snowboard, the half pipe snowboarding and the ski jumping. So,
I got a trivia question for you two, really quick.
Oh, fun!
Yes.
I love trivia.
So, in order for it to be a Winter Olympic sport, what is the qualification? What does it have to?
I mean, initially
it's a lot more simplistic than you think.
But I would say a cold weather activity. I don't know.
Snow
or ice. Well, the ice too.
It just has to be played in snow or ice, and then it's a Winter Olympic sport.
We are two very intelligent men.
Yes, you are.
We? Yeah.
When I first heard that, I was like, man, that's oddly simplistic. And as I think about it, everyone is
Yep, that makes sense.
That's awesome.
Yes.
So then everything else must be Summer Olympics.
Yes. Now, if there was another
aren't you guys
another conversation?
Aren't you glad we got this podcast back up?
Yes. What would you add into it?
What would I add?
Yeah.
Oh, I don't know, but I'm a little excited for flag football for sure.
Yeah, that'd be fun. Yeah, that's gonna be fun to watch.
But that's also that's really a North American sport. I don't know how big it is overseas. Mr. Hitt, I know
rugby
you
to an extent.
Yeah, rugby, sure. I was gonna say, but Mr. Hitt, I know you spent some time over in Europe. I mean, how big is American football over there?
Most of the universities, like in the UK, have like an American football union. So it's a little bit like the rugby union, where they would, they'll have a team, like a club team at the university where people will play football, and it's, I would say it's fairly popular, but it's obviously it's not, it's not to the level of, rugby or soccer. But it is the school that I went to had an American football team. It was much smaller group. They certainly didn't have hundreds of players on the team. Everybody's playing both ways, and pretty small numbers, but they still had a team. So
did you have an inkling to try out?
Oh no.
No,
not a football player. I played basketball while I was over there.
I knew you were on the basketball team in Europe, but I
Yeah.
Did they try to recruit you? You're American. Did they not say, "Hey, we need a receiver. Come on over"?
No, there really wasn't much. They didn't promote it very much. I think it was a very small group. Most of the people were either playing rugby or playing soccer. So that was the big things, even for the club sports. But yeah, no, I think. But going back to the Olympics, I really love the bobsledding too. I think that's really really cool to watch, and the Americans did really well this year in the bobsled events, and so that was really cool to watch too. But the hockey, you guys actually know my friend Pat that came. He actually came to my wedding, to our wedding, and he was actually at the final, the Canada-U.S. game. Cool. So he got a chance to go there. He was texting me while the game was going on, and he was pretty disappointed at the end of the game, but it must have been really cool. He got a chance to go and actually be there for the semifinals for Canada. So he's Canadian, so he got to be there for the semifinals and the final. I don't feel too bad, but because he got to experience it, but USA got the win, so that's all that matters.
Yeah, you talk about once in a lifetime. That's crazy. That's awesome.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, let's move into some real 502 sports here. One of the things I wanted to talk about right off the bat was on Friday, Assumption High School basketball. They took down the 5-time defending state champion Sacred Heart Valkyries in the 7th region final. The score was really not close in the end. It was 69-51. Just a huge win for Assumption to defeat a team that it really had kind of built a dynasty. And they're still a really good team. Obviously, they'll definitely be back in the mix next year with the program that they've built there at Sacred Heart. But I think it's just a huge victory for Assumption here locally in the 502, because now they're going to get to go to the Sweet 16 on the girls' side. What do you all think about that big win for the Rockets?
It was definitely, like you said, big win, dethroning the 5-time state champion. Yeah, and it was Ashlyn James from Assumption had a great game. Probably the best player for them, but she played great and led the Rockets to victory.
Yeah, she 9 of 18 shooting, 21 points. She definitely had a big game. She averages in the high teens, so she definitely came through big for them, and 50% shooting, tough to beat. But even still, hats off to Sacred Heart and their Coach Donna Moyer. Congratulations on the enormity of your success. And, we all know that Sacred Heart is going to be back, but congratulations, Assumption, and, Coach Kovac. To be the team, you've got to beat the team, and they've done it. They've beat the 5-time defending champions, and, now all eyes are going to be looking at Assumption. So they've gone from the hunters to the hunted. So it'll be interesting to keep up with them as they make their way through the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think it starts here in a few days, March 11th. They'll head down to Rupp and start their march to the state championship, hopefully.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I will say, I think if you look at the previous matchup that they had earlier this season, so Sacred Heart won that game by 2 points.
Yeah, it was close.
But it was late. But I really think that's the type of game that really set the tone for Assumption to be able to win in the in the game that really mattered in the regional tournament, right? You're going up against the 5-time defending state champions.
Probably their arch rival.
You only lose by 2 points, and then you're thinking, wow, we could win this, right? So when you get that second matchup, when it really matters, the team really came together and just came away with a really impressive win. I would have to say that they're probably the favorites now, right, to win the state tournament based off of knocking out the 5-time defending champion.
Well, I mean, there's going to be a lot of teams that are now going to feel they have a shot with Sacred Heart out. But yeah, like I said, I think the target is now squarely on Assumption as the team to kind of go after and knock out. But at the same time, there are still really great teams at the bottom half of that bracket that Assumption is actually going to avoid until what would be the championship game if they can make it that far. I know, let's see, George Rogers Clark is currently the number 1 team ranked in KHSAA, so they're going to miss them. And then Simon Kenton is another big one in the girls region. But luckily, Assumption drew the top half. Those 2 teams drew the bottom half, so they wouldn't have to face both teams, just one. And if that came, it would be in the finals. So they got a pretty nice-looking draw.
I was about to say that they got a good draw set up for them, and hopefully they can take this win and build,
and build on it.
Yeah, build on it.
Don't be
don't
happy.
Settle. Yeah, don't be happy. You still got to play with that chip on your shoulder and go out and prove it wasn't a fluke, that you're for real. Go out and show everybody, it's just not a one-time game.
And you guys know that when you go up against a defending champion, nevertheless a multi-time defending champion, you get up for it, and it's also your rival. But when you play them as closely as they did, coming away with the loss, you still the moral victory. I don't really care much about those, but when you walk away going, we could have done it. We're going to do it if we face them again. Like you have that confidence, you know. I think during regular season, moral victories can be used to propel you further. Obviously in the playoffs, if you get knocked out, there's no moral victories then. But if you talk to the Assumption girls after the game, I'm sure they're disheartened by the loss during the regular season, but they walked away going, we can hang with this team. We can beat this team. They better not see us again. Otherwise we're going to be ready for them.
Yeah.
So I got a feeling that's exactly how they felt, and good for them. I guess in the game wasn't even close. No. It was a 17, 18 point victory for the Rockets. And it was just, They had a big fourth quarter to pull away, and congratulations to them. They definitely earned it.
Yeah, for sure. And definitely a shout-out to Sacred Heart players, Bree Wilkins and Riley Gilvin as well. So Bree Wilkins actually had 21 points in the game. Mm-hmm. It was her 3rd straight game over 17 points, really contributing at a high level for the team. And then Riley Gilvin had 8 points and 8 rebounds in the game to help the Valkyries as well. So, look, I think we talked about these are 2 really good programs now that are in the 7th region. This is going to be really exciting, I think, moving forward, not just this year, but in years to come. Now that Assumption really, it feels like they've built a program here that's going to be competing moving forward in that region. So really exciting stuff. Gentlemen, I think we're going to move over to boys basketball. The regional tournaments are finishing up. Actually, most of those are tomorrow. With one of the big matchups here in the 7th region is St. X versus Ballard. Wanted to get your all's thoughts on some of these matchups and what you think about the future here for the boys' Sweet 16 tournament.
Well, I think St. X is definitely going to have, I think they're the ones that are going to have the target on their back going into this matchup against Ballard.
They've been top 3, I think, all year in the KHSA rankings, if not number 1. They're definitely going to have their, the target on their back. But I think that's going to be a great game, and could possibly even see the state champion coming out of the winner of that game.
Yeah, very, very well could. Very well could.
Yeah, so Ballard, survived against Mayo, winning 78-76 in the first round, and then they beat Manual in the semifinals. They're a really fast team, so really fast pace. It's going to be interesting to see how they match up against St. X, who took down Trinity in the semifinals in what was really a really physical game.
Yeah. I mean, they won, 61-46. Mm-hmm. Like I said, very physical, and St. X kind of pulled away there at the end, but I don't think it was really that close throughout the game.
Well, I mean, as far as which game are you talking about?
The St. X Trinity game, how they got to the regional final here.
Okay, it was tied, or not tied, but it was a couple points at halftime. And X used a big second half to pull away.
Yeah.
But congratulations to Coach Klein, and good luck to the St. X Tigers. Good luck to the Ballard Bruins and Coach Willis.
It's going to be a good game to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. We've also got another big one in the 6th region as well. So we've got PRP versus DeSales. PRP has really been pretty dominant so far in the tournament. They got a win over Butler, which was fantastic for them. And then DeSales took down J-Town, who made it to the state tournament last year, to the Sweet 16. So what are your all's thoughts here on that matchup between DeSales and PRP?
Like you said, I think you're going to see definitely a lot of physicality. Teams that are going to want to put up points, and not to be that vague, but I don't know. I'm kind of rooting for DeSales to see if they can pull out a victory. I've got a nephew that is a recent graduate of DeSales, so I kind of have a little rooting interest as he still follows along with them. Either way, I think it's going to be a good game for sure.
Yeah, no, DeSales. One thing they got a lot of senior leadership on their team, which is going to be good. But PRP, their backcourt is very dynamic, very good. It's going to be a good game, but I think having a better backcourt might overtake the experience and kind of look to see PRP
turnovers.
Yeah.
If they can protect the ball, man, it'll make it much easier for a victory.
Yeah, so those games are going to be taking place Monday and Tuesday. For a chance to go to the Sweet 16 at Rupp Arena starting on March 18th. So those should be some really good regional games here over the next couple days. And there's other regional games that are going to be happening, especially out in Oldham County as well. Some of those games that are going to be taking place. And so really looking forward to those. Gentlemen, for track and field, the state championships for the boys and girls took place just a couple days ago. And it was really a clean sweep for the Louisville High School here at Louisville High Schools in 3A. Wanted to get your thoughts on the results there, with Male taking home the boys' side in 3A, and then Oldham County squeaking out a victory at the very last event on the girls' side.
Yeah, no, Male, they put on a good performance, especially I think the 4x200 relay. They took the gold there. A lot of great transitions on the handoffs there. Did pretty well on the shot put as well. And then for Oldham County, just kind of overall good performance. As a team, they kind of stood out and did, great job overall.
Yeah, they got points in a lot of different events, right, to kind of help them along the way. And then the final for Oldham County, which was really, it was kind of a clutch performance for them. And in the very final event on the girls' side in 3A, they won the 4x400 relay to get enough points to secure the state team title. Yeah. So just a huge congratulations to Oldham County on that victory. They ran a great race there to take the points and get the kind of a clutch finish. It's something we don't see a whole lot in the track and field events. The very last event coming down to the wire there.
Yeah, that was great. And then overall, even not just the champions, but a lot of the 502 schools. And on the boys' side, you got Male as the state champion, but then you had St. X, Trinity, PRP following them. And on the girls' side, you had Oldham County state champion, but then Male, North Oldham, and Manual in third and fourth. So overall, the 502 is really well represented at the track and field.
Yeah, and congratulations to all those athletes representing your schools and placing big and basically making the city of Louisville the dominant athletic force that it is.
Yeah, and so a couple shout outs just to a couple specific. We don't have time to go through everybody here, but wanted to kind of shout out to Aaron Ramey from Male, who won the state high jump with a leap of 6:10.5. So that was a pretty impressive win from Aaron Ramey. And then on the girls' side, for Male, she really kept her team in contention here and going down to the wire. Grace Bethel for Male, she won the 55 meters and the 200 meters to really help Male compete for that state title on the girls' side as well. But like we said, Oldham County ultimately came out with the win there in the 4x400 to clinch it.
It just goes to show you that it's a team event. You can have a couple dominant athletes, but if you've got the overall strongest track and field team, then you're going to pull ahead in the end, and that's what North Oldham did. Congratulations to them.
We congratulate Oldham County, Mayo, and North Oldham, along with DuPont Manual on the girls' side, who all finished in the top 4, all representing the 502. And then on the on the male side, the boys' side, Mayo High School, St. X, Trinity, and PRP in the top 4. Just a clean sweep there for the high school indoor state championships on the track and field side. So congratulations to all of those athletes for great performances there this week in track and field. All right, gentlemen. I think it's March, if I'm not mistaken. It is already March.
It is March, and we are in the 502.
I cannot believe
correct,
this.
Yes.
So I wanted to ask your all's opinion here on starting off with the cards from a basketball perspective. What do you think so far? The Cards finished with a 22-9 record, 11-7 in the ACC.
Well, I mean, if you look at Louisville, they seem to be kind of hobbling toward the finish. Adam, I mean, I don't know about you, but defensively, this is a team that, has its ups and downs. Like, they can have a good, if not a great defensive performance. We've seen them do it against the likes of kind of, I won't say lesser competition, but, competition that hasn't fared so well this year, like a Syracuse.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. But, man, when they go up against the big dogs like the Dukes and the Carolinas, and they have struggled. And it is just one of those things where you've got to be able to compete against the best teams if you want to keep, surviving and advancing. The big question for them is going to be with, the health of Michael Brown. Is he going to be playing? Is he not going to be playing? This is a man that is going to be in a 15, 20-point score, and he has the ability, as we've seen, to get up in the 30s and 40s. He is the blood that pumps through the veins of that team. Nothing against, Javon Hadley or Sanando Frew, but it really is the Michael Brown show.
Yeah.
And the more he's on the floor, the better that team is going to be. If he's off the floor, this is a team that, if we said got knocked out in the first round, would anybody be surprised? And the answer is no. Like, nobody would be surprised. Now, if they make it to the second weekend, would we be surprised? Not necessarily. That could happen as well.
Right.
So it's just, the draws are going to matter.
Yeah.
But also, as how are they playing together down the stretch? And, that's just, kind of how this time of year is going to go. You want to pick the hot hands to compete and go forward in this tournament. So can Louisville get hot? Can they get some momentum on their side, and can it take them deep into the madness?
Yeah, it was interesting. Just a couple days, or actually just yesterday, Louisville got the win over Miami. Number 22 ranked Miami.
Yeah, they needed that win.
Yeah, it was a massive win, right? I think people were saying that this was some sort of curse where they they had a drought against ranked opponents, on their home courts. But this gave the Cards a really solid quad one win, against a team on the road. Wanted to get your all's thoughts just on that game and kind of getting that, maybe kind of getting that monkey off their back, or however you want to say it, getting over that a little bit of a road curse there against ranked teams.
Overall, I mean, it was a great game. That first half, probably one of the best halves of basketball they've played when you include offense and defense. The limited time they've played defense this year, but that was really good. And they need to find a way to shore up the second half because. Can't remember if it's been like every game maybe since Notre Dame, every team shooting over 50, close to 60%, but they need to find a way to show that up. But overall, that Miami win was big. It was great for their confidence. You could see how excited the team was to get that, and that's going to go a long way in March. Hopefully that kind of helps propel them, give them the confidence that, hey, they can do it, especially without Michael there. Like you said, that's that's going to be big. So
yeah.
if he is able to come back,
he's just a big boost. He takes so much off of Conwell. He allows Conwell to play off the ball. It's huge.
I also wouldn't be surprised if we don't see him come back again and save himself for the NBA, because that's kind of what a lot of everybody's doing now. That's where the big money is. As much as he's making here, he can make a lot more in the NBA, especially being a top, predicted as a top 10 pick.
Yeah, if he goes lottery for sure.
Yeah, he might as well. And I wouldn't be surprised if we seen him play his last game in a Louisville uniform.
And that's just a shame, but
unfortunate,
that's what the state of college athletics is nowadays. We see it all the time in football, and now we're seeing it in basketball. Darren Peterson at Kansas is literally taking himself out of games after he, puts up good first half numbers.
Right.
And I understand it from a business point of view. But on the side of the players, but as a fan, as a fan, as what it says about your character.
Yeah, I mean, that says a lot. As NBA team, you see that as a character where are you just going to quit on your team in the NBA?
I don't think it necessarily says that, but I think I wouldn't be surprised if he would go up and say, "Hey, coach, I know we're playing back to back tonight, but I need out of the second game. I need to give my body some chance, some time to rest."
Yeah, it's a risk reward thing, right? Because they have to, as these guys are getting paid so much, in NIL that, they feel like, yes, I want to make that money, but I also have a long-term objective for how much more money I could make.
Right.
And so they have to really protect themselves, because this is just a short-term deal, whereas they're hoping for those big long-term deals in the NBA if they become the star that they project that they're going to be.
Well, and all kids in college have a dream of playing in the NBA. Now, whether or not that dream is realistic is a different story, but that top 1% of the college athletes do have a realistic shot at the NBA, and injuries happen. They're an unfortunate part of the game, but they do happen.
Yeah.
So, like I said, from a business standpoint, I understand, but you can get injured in the first half as well as you can the second half. Like, you can't go playing worrying about injuring yourself unless you have a pre-existing injury that you don't want to flare up.
Right.
And, if that's the case, so be it. But, a lot of times that's not the case. So, I know we got off topic, going into Darren Peterson as opposed to Michael Brown, but
it's similar, but to an extent, to where the question came up because do we see him come back and play in the Louisville uniform? I don't know, because you're out there as a business side, but if your back is not 100% healthy, and why would you take the risk to make it, really bad and
this is why
make your stock even worse.
This is why kids sit out of the football bowl games.
Yeah,
right.
You're not going to risk that. No. Absolutely not. And a lot of coaches will tell you not to risk that. Now, they may not say don't sit out of the NCAA tournament, but if they're in the NIT or something like that, they may say just sit out. This isn't worth it. This isn't worth it.
Well, it's not just the coaches. I mean, these guys have so many people in their ears now. They're agents
not even agents. They have lawyers and accountants, and I mean they've got a whole team of staff now
that all want their money.
They all want a piece of the action.
So question for you guys. So when we kind of came into this year, I think we had Louisville. I can't remember where we had them in the ACC when we did our kind of preseason projections here, but we had them at the top. We had them in the top of the ACC. So a 6 seed finish in the ACC, right? For Louisville into the ACC tournament. How are we feeling about that? How do you feel? I know we've had some issue. There's some issues there with Mikel Brown not being available for the whole season, things like that. But overall, how are you feeling about that as a 6 seed? Obviously, the ACC tournament doesn't matter, right? In the scheme of things, maybe from a seeding perspective, but in reality, it's not really valuable for them because they're going to have to play a certain number of games in the NCAA tournament.
If they win the tournament, maybe they get up to a 4 seed, and that's if they beat Duke. But I don't see that happening.
Yeah.
Overall, as a season, I would, based on the preseason hype, how the coaches and players were talking, it's got to be up there as one of the most disappointing seasons as a fan.
Yeah, I think we all expected more.
Yeah, we expected more
after the way the last season went.
Yeah,
there was a lot of hype.
There was a lot of hype, and
then,
offensively it was there, but it all comes down to, as a fan, like, okay, the offense is there, but as knowledgeable as a fan base as both Louisville and Kentucky are, the effort that you have seen on the defensive end has been the most disheartening that you could see, and expectations were sky high, and then just to see them just be flat against top quality teams, and you're getting blown out in a lot of those games too. Hasn't even been close.
Here's an unpopular take. I'm going to blame the hype around Louisville during the season on the University of Kentucky. When they got that win over Kentucky, the sky was the limit, right? This was a top 5 college basketball team. They beat the mighty, mighty Kentucky. And then to see the season play out and everybody realizes that Kentucky is, I was going to say mediocre, but it just depends on what day you find Kentucky. Are they home or away? So I think a lot of that hype came from that victory.
It did, but if you also look back at how the season has gone for both teams, that game has been indicative of exactly how the season has gone. Louisville will get up big in the first half and not play any defense, and especially in the second half, and allow the teams to come back. Kentucky gets down big in every game and find a way to come back. And if you look at that, take that game.
Both teams are different on the road. Both teams are different on the road.
But you could also argue
there's
that's
a lot of inconsistency. But that's nationwide.
It is.
That is nationwide.
If you go back and look at that game, the 2 seasons have been identical to that game in almost every other game. So I don't know if I would say you blame Kentucky for the hype, but I would say a lot of
it is because
you had Michael play probably his best game of the year, maybe other than NC State. Maybe
he had a game.
Was against Kentucky, and that probably the first national game of the year for both teams.
Yeah, it was,
and maybe even for college basketball, it might have been one of the biggest.
It was a big draw.
Early season game.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we talked about it a little bit when we did our preseason kind of projections for them. I mean, one of the things that I brought up was that Kentucky had a lot of games against Quad 1, very big opponents.
Early,
And, yes, they looked okay early, but I think as you get into it, that experience and just the strength of their schedule is difficult, right? They have one of the hardest, they have a very difficult schedule. It may not compare to some of the other teams in the country when we're looking at that overall, but I think we talked about them probably being overrated as we came into the season. But Jimbo, to your point, you're talking about the fans, right? And I think that's just it's just the culture of the U of L UK rivalry, right? If you beat the other one, you think you are better. You may think that you're better than you really are because you're beating the rival, and that's the only thing that matters.
Yes and no.
And so the fans get this into their mind, and it kind of snowballs into we're the best, right? Like we're better than everybody. We're going to be able to beat everybody now, but that's not necessarily the case.
Well, yes and no. And the reason I say that is because a lot of it came from the hype that was put around Kentucky. They were
$22 million in NIL funds to build that team.
Yes, and the names that they had brought in, and that Otega Owe came out of the NBA draft and decided to stick around for another year, and was a Naismith finalist.
He's been their best player.
So he's putting up 20 points a game. Like he's an amazing player. There's no question about that. But the fact that Louisville not only beat them, but they did it at home. They did it with Donovan Mitchell in house. Like it was a packed house. It was a get right moment for Louisville, and not only beat them, but to beat the pants off them. Like it wasn't a fun game as a Kentucky fan. It was heartbreaking, and they looked good on defense. They looked good on offense. They looked good with the turnovers. They looked points off turnovers. Like they checked every box in this game, and it was because we thought Kentucky was a top 10 team.
Yeah.
And now they can't crack the top 25.
They would be if they would be
they
would be a top 10 team if they had a point guard. I think we talked about that before.
Yeah, that's definitely hurt. Well,
if they had a point guard to someone to actually run their offense.
Yes, they are lacking in that area for sure. But that's all. Injuries are part of the game.
Yeah, you can't
They're
blame
part of the
injuries
game.
because then you could say, well, we'd be the national champions without injuries. So you still got to play. You got to play with what you have. You got to figure out a way.
But they
and
did.
If you're as good as you think you are, you'll find a way and you'll win.
But to touch on the seeding of the NCAA tournament, like I think the 6th seed of the ACC tournament is fitting. If you look at the top 4 seeds, obviously you've got Duke at number 1, Virginia, at 2, Miami's at 3, and North Carolina, UNC's 4. Yeah. Okay, we all agree
that
those
every one of those teams you deserve to be where you are.
Right, and then after that is Clemson, who they also lost to. So
right.
whenever you're looking at the teams, like if you got a 6 seed, who's got the 5, who's got the 7? Is it a fair seeding? And when you're looking at Clemson at the 5, okay, yep, we lost to them, so I can see that. NC State is a 7. Now NC State has had a pretty good year in the conference.
Yeah, Will Wade's done pretty well.
But Louisville beat them.
Yeah,
and beat them bad.
Mm-hmm.
And so sure, the 6th seed makes sense.
As far as NCAA tournament goes, this year's team is much more deserving of an 8 seed than last year's. But
yeah, I think the last projection I saw Louisville and Kentucky both at 6s.
Yeah,
I understand it, but at the same time,
their schedule's been better this year, and the ACC's been better. That helps them.
I think if both teams get a 6, they should both consider themselves lucky that they avoided the 7. Meaning if they won, they'd have to play the 2 seed in the second round, or the 8-9. Meaning if they won the first game, they'd have to play the 1 seed second round. So if they can grab a 6, I don't even care who's in their region, who their first or second round opponent could potentially be. It's best case scenario for both teams.
Yeah. No. So a lot of fans are just almost kind of giving up on this year and just fed up with it. So
yeah, me too.
What do you think it would have to be?
Too.
What do both teams have to do in the NCAA tournament to consider it a good year? Can they do anything to say?
See, and
to salvage the year.
And see, here's the difference between Card Nation and Big Blue Nation. Big Blue Nation, it's championship or bust. Like that is a success. Now with this team, if they can make the Final Four,
this team,
they will consider that a success. I think if Kentucky
you don't think an Elite 8 is a success after.
Oh, I absolutely do. But what does the fan base think? What I think and what the fan base thinks. I would think a majority of the fans, if
they got to an Elite 8, then.
If they'd
be coming back out of the woodwork and be pounding their chest.
If they make it to the second weekend, if they can make Sweet 16, they'll say, okay, well, this is unexpected, but let's see how far we can go. And if they get put out in the Sweet 16 round, then it's all right, back to the drawing board. You gave it a good try. Well, let's get them next year. But if they can make Elite 8, then they'll start thinking Final Fours and national championships. Like that once you get that Elite 8, then that vision kind of pops into your head. Have we seen lesser teams go further? Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, we have. Is it out of the realm of possibility to think that Louisville or Kentucky can make a run to the second weekend? Yeah, absolutely they can. Can they make Final Four? They can.
That's all going to be really. When it gets to that point, it's all matchup dependent.
Yeah,
but Louisville comes across a team that plays physical and can play defense, then I don't see them getting past that team.
Yeah, and
they haven't been able to figure that out all year, and they've had 30 games to figure that out.
Well, but you know what? When the shots are falling and they're not for the other team, at that point, it doesn't even matter.
It doesn't matter if but you're not going to be shooting 50, 60% every time unless you're playing against Louisville.
You don't need to. You just need to do it one time. You just need to do it one time.
So, gentlemen, if Mikael Brown Jr. plays in the tournament, hypothetically, how many wins does U of L end up with?
Oh, boy. I can see 2. 3's not out of the realm of possibility, but I wouldn't bet on 3. I think getting to that Sweet 16 would be their realistic vision, and from there it's tough to see, especially without the brackets being out yet.
Yeah, it is one of those have to see on the brackets, but best case scenario, I think you see 2 wins. Most likely, I'm 50-50 whether they would win one game or not.
Oh wow, one game.
They cannot play. In order to win games in March, you have to be able to play defense for 40 minutes. They can do it for 20. They can do it very well for 20.
Buddy, I'm a Kentucky fan. I know all about not playing defense. I get it.
They have not shown me anything that can tell me they can play defense for 40 minutes.
Yeah, it will.
And no faith in that.
All right.
They could do it.
So same question for Kentucky. As of right now, whatever their seeding is, do you all have them winning more than one game? And if so, how many?
I'd say their ceiling is going to be the same as Louisville. You got 2 wins max, but you're probably looking at 1 win best case scenario.
Because I am a fan, I will put them into at least.
But without seeing the bracket, it's hard to say.
Exactly. Without seeing the bracket, they get 1 win. I don't care who they're up against. I'm going to write them in for that first win. Whether they're an 8-9 seed, 7-10 game, the 6-11, I am going to write them in for 1 win.
Mm-hmm. Now,
the second win is definitely going to be a little dependent on who they could potentially draw for that round of 32 matchup. I'm not opposed to writing them into the Sweet 16. I'm not. I've seen them get hot. I've seen them play a little bit of defense. It's just few and far between.
They can play better defense, and they've also shown a lot of times that it doesn't matter if they're playing Florida, Tennessee, whoever it might be. Even if they get down big by 20, they don't quit. They keep coming back.
Yeah.
And Louisville hasn't shown that. Kentucky has shown that a dozen plus times this year,
which is why I'm automatically giving them the 1. You know, like they've you can tell they've got no quit in them, and as much turmoil has been around this team throughout the year, that is nice to see. That is nice to see. Adam, what do you think?
I think Kentucky probably gets 1 win. I don't see, obviously we don't know the matchups, but if, they're going to make the tournament based on, projections as of now, but I think 1 win, I know it's going to be disappointing for Kentucky fans if that happens because they had such high expectations, but I think you have to be realistic at this point. The Cards, I think the Cards could go on a big run. Some of the ways that sometimes when you watch them play, especially when Mikael Brown Jr. is on the floor, there are times when you're like, this team could beat anybody.
They've shown that as well.
I think that if he plays and the threes are dropping for them, they could beat anybody. I do think this is a team that could go to the Final Four if everything aligns and they have Mikael Brown Jr. If the shots fall the way that we have seen them fall, last year and into this year, I think potentially that they could make a big run. I think that they could make the Final Four if everything aligned to them. And then if they were to make the Final Four, all bets are off, right? It really comes down to what team wants it more. Jimbo?
Well, if they make a Final Four, they're going to be going up against the likes of a Duke. Or in
They're
Arizona or Florida, and those teams are going to just get overpowered, and they're not going to have to beat one of them to get there. Upsets happen all the time.
Then
so
we don't the same argument be made. They may not play them in the Final Four.
And you're absolutely right, and we could say the same thing about Kentucky because Kentucky shoots an enormous amount of threes also. So both teams, I think the narrative is going to be the same for both of them. The terribly defensive teams totally reliant on their offense, their scoring, the turnovers, stuff like that, and free throws too. At this point of year, free throws play a huge part in the game. So the ability to dribble, drive, and get fouled, and get to the free throw line, and get easy buckets, that is a massive part of this game, which I feel Kentucky lacks. They do not have the ability to dribble, drive. At least. Mikael Brown Jr. and Conley can get to the rim. They've got 2 bigs that you can dump down to. And I'm not a big fan of Khalifa. He can be serviceable, but Frew, you can play the 2-man game with him.
I'd like to see Frew be a little bit more aggressive down there. And on that, I wouldn't mind. You could throw Kenai Ruths in there, and then Javon Hadley. I will put Hadley in the post probably over anybody else. He can score in the post. He can take his defender down
And
there
then
and
if McNeely
score
can
on anybody.
make something like this.
He's gotten better the last handful of games.
Last game.
No, he's been better the last 3 weeks.
But
he's gotten better.
he's been a massive, at least personally, he's been a massive disappointment. This is a guy who led Virginia in scoring last year, and then he comes over and he's basically been non-existent.
Yeah,
he's lost a lot of playing time, and he's not produced the way that people thought he would.
He hasn't, but he's kind of come back and he's gotten better the last 3-4 games. He's really done better. Same with Conwell. Conwell, he had a little stretch where he was cold, but in the last 3-4 games, he started to play like he had earlier in the year as well.
Yeah.
So they are starting to click a little bit better now, which I do like. And to your point, you can make 15 to 23s a game. Yeah, you can play with anybody and beat anybody.
I think I called him Conley. Ryan Conwell. I think I called him Conley. Oh, well, Mr. Conwell. I apologize. But, yeah, no, like they have those two guys between Michael Brown Jr. and him that they can dribble drive. Like, and at that point, that's so big for me. Watching Kentucky play and all they do is swing the ball around the perimeter, and then finally there's 7 seconds left and somebody's got to create their own shot in a heartbeat. Just get the ball to Otega Owe and hope he can get a shot off, or swing it around to Aberdeen and watch him, shoot a crazy three. Yeah. That's not a recipe for success. Yeah. I'm higher on Louisville in this tournament than I am on Kentucky.
Yep.
But I'll be honest, I'm not high on either.
I know I'm not either. Louisville, especially on the defense, they got to stop fouling. I think they were last in the ACC as far as fouls committed this year. Or let me rephrase it: it's fouls called against them. I don't know if I would say fouls committed, but fouls called against them. They were last in the ACC.
Are you contesting fouls already? Come on, man.
Oh, I can show you with a bunch of videos.
Get out of
here. But they had the most fouls called on them in the ACC. So they got to find a way to defend without fouling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, gentlemen. So fortunately, we're going to find out very soon here what March Madness looks like, where Kentucky and the Cards are going to be seated, which is fantastic. If you had to pick today, who would you pick as your winner of March Madness of the NCAA tournament? If you had to pick today with no seeding, no nothing, who would you pick?
One team?
One team, huh?
Yeah, one team. Let's go.
I like Duke.
I don't want to say it. Yeah, I don't want to say it. I don't want to say it.
You know you want to.
I don't
Come
want
on.
to because I'm going to say Arizona.
Yeah.
Because I don't want to say Florida and I don't want to say Duke.
I like Arizona too. I think they've got the most quad one wins of in the country this year. I think there were some questions about if they could physically compete with some of these other teams, but I think they've shown after winning the Big 12 regular season title, I really like Arizona. I think they could potentially, but Duke has been playing really well too. So Michigan's another one who's up there, but
they can get on a run
Michigan
quick for
hot,
sure.
Yeah.
Well, and then on the flip side of that, I have always had a soft spot in my heart come tournament time for Michigan State head coach Tom Izzo. I think he's one of the best X's and O's coaches there is. When it gets to a one-possession game in the final minute, I'm going to give the edge to Tom Izzo every time. It doesn't even matter.
Yeah.
You put Patino, you put anybody you want on the other side. For one possession, I'm taking Tom Izzo. So Sparty would definitely be on my radar to make a deep run too. Yep. I don't know about national title, but definitely
I would say another maybe dark horse national title contender would be Kansas, especially if Peterson will play a 40-minute game. If he plays and stays.
But they're also streaky too. Like they've got some losses that I just shake my head going,
keep in mind.
What?
You can look
Yes, I like Kansas too. If they're fully stacked and he's not cramping in the second second half, that could be a really good team to watch. But I feel like there's so many, right? Like you've got Houston, you've got UConn, Florida. I mean, there's just a bunch of teams that I feel like could win it this year.
Yeah, it's hard to. It's also crazy to say that we're talking about Michigan State or Kansas being a dark horse. Mm-hmm. And we haven't even talked about North Carolina, who beat Duke.
Yeah.
That was when they had Caleb Williams. Now he's done for the year. And
true.
I
but
mean, he was
at the same time, they're still going to be formidable.
Yeah.
They're not going to be.
They are, but they're
easy
not
out.
the same with.
It's going to be like Louisville with Michael Brown Jr. Mm-hmm. They're definitely not the same.
No. I think this might be one of the best, if not the best, freshman class I can ever remember seeing and watching in NCAA basketball.
Yeah.
Do you, other than Florida and the SEC, but do you guys like anybody else in the SEC? Do you like an Alabama, or
They're streaky.
do you think Arkansas gets crazy? They've got some guys that can play the ball too.
As far as national title contenders,
let's not say. I won't say national title. How about I turn it to Final Four? Win 4 games. Like can they beat? Can you see a situation where
Alabama's
they
very
beat
streaky.
an Alabama versus Duke?
Yeah.
And Alabama getting the win and coming out of that region.
Yeah, I mean, if they again get hot, then
Or a UConn. Can you see Arkansas or an Alabama beating UConn? Sure, I can see it. They just lost. UConn just lost to Marquette.
Yeah.
So it's not out of the realm of possibility that we see an SEC team, squeak in there also.
No, it's not. And it's a lot of that, like we had talked about, it's all matchup dependent, but you could have any team.
Injuries, everything.
There's any team in the top 25 to 30 has the potential to get hot and get streaky and make a run.
Yes, and make a run. That's just it, and make a run. And then there's a handful of teams outside of the top 30 that can make a run.
What about Miami of Ohio being undefeated? Do they deserve a top 3 seed?
No. Top 3 seed? No.
Not as a 1 seed, but as a 1, 2, or 3 seed.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I think you could make the argument they could squeak in as a 3 seed. Maybe I could see that. I don't have them up at 1 or 2. I think it really depends on how the rest of these conference tournaments go and see if there's any big shakeups there. I think that's probably what it's going to take.
So is there, if they don't win, if they lose, if they have any more regular season games?
No, I think they're headed to conference tournaments.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
So be curious because only a handful of teams have gone undefeated throughout the regular season and have all been a high seed.
Yeah. It'll be interesting to see.
Even though they haven't played anybody of note, is it going through the season undefeated still says a lot.
Based on how the committee seeded teams last year, there's probably no chance that they're going to get a very good seed. But I think
either that or they'll come out with the number 1 overall seed.
Right.
Based on you never know.
Well, that won't happen. But wishful thinking.
But in order for them to get a top 3, like you're looking at teams like Houston, Michigan State, Nebraska.
Do you have to have a lot of them lose early in the conference tournament for that to happen?
Maybe, but I'm not even done. Like there's Kansas could be in there. Alabama can be in there. Gonzaga out in the Mountain West. Illinois had a good year. Texas Tech's had a good year. Like there's a ton of teams that have played Power 5 juggernaut schedules that have better wins. And that's just what it comes down to. Now, I understand 29-0.
All you can do is beat the teams in front of you.
No, because you can schedule harder during
I would argue a lot of those teams they may have, but there's been a lot, this year in particular, there's been a lot of Power 5 teams play a lot of Power 5 teams that they could have had scheduled, and they said, those teams may have said, no, thanks, here's your money. We're going to get out of the contract.
So, Adam, do you have Miami of Ohio in your top 12? I guess that's the question.
Right. That's it. Do you think that they are one of the 12? Here we go. Have they had one of the 12 best seasons up to this point? Because if you go by that,
yes.
Absolutely. But at that point,
are they one of the? If you put them in the ACC, the Big Ten, SEC, they're best case middle of the pack team. So maybe barely a 500 team. Yeah. But that being said, I feel like you have to reward them somehow. Maybe they're not a 3. Maybe they get a 4 seed. And you have to find a way, I feel like, to reward a good season like that, undefeated season.
I couldn't agree more. It is really, really tough to go undefeated. You're playing teams multiple times in your conference, not to mention the conference tournament. It is really hard to go undefeated. But can you give them a top 3? I just don't know because you're setting a huge precedent. Like, where does it stop? Miami of Ohio did it, but also, Utah Valley State.
I mean, looking at their last,
could do it next year, and do they get a top 3? So it's like,
they're playing. I think it would also be different if they were beating teams handily. But looking at their last handful of games, They beat Ohio in overtime, 110 to 108. They beat Toledo 74-72. They beat Western Michigan 69-67.
Yeah.
Eastern Michigan 74-64. So they're not blowing teams out a lot, but they're still
but they're getting the win,
winning.
and they're winning on the road too.
Yeah.
Like that's another big one. Like they're
yeah.
finding ways to get wins on the road.
Yeah.
But yeah, who's their best win? Who's their best win? I'm seriously scrolling their schedule right now.
Yep.
And here we go: Old Dominion, Trinity in Illinois, Air Force, Mercyhurst, Arkansas Pine Bluff, UNC Greensboro, IU East, Maine, UNC Asheville, Eastern Kentucky, Wright State, Ball State, Milligan, Bowling Green, Akron, Western Michigan, Toledo,
they may
Central
not have
Michigan,
a top
Buffalo.
80 win. I don't know.
Yeah, like I think I blame their schedule maybe for their seeding at this point. And this is something that I think the NCAA can do is you can punish teams for playing a weak schedule. Look at Indiana a couple of years ago.
They did it to Louisville last year. They gave them an 8 seed.
Well, yeah.
They didn't. They said their schedule wasn't very good, and they didn't.
Well,
beat any good teams.
how do you rectify that when there's no top teams that in the power conferences that want to play you, right? Well, they won't schedule you.
Yeah, and that's tough too. But you would think you could get at least one.
I think you got to maybe try to get into some more preseason tournaments.
Well, but even the quote unquote mid majors are cracking top 25 schools. Like they didn't try to schedule a Gonzaga, or I
don't know, if
or a Villanova, like some of your Big East teams. I know Villanova's not having the greatest year this year, but there's still a name, and you schedule so many years in advance. But there's no UConn on here. There's no St. John's on here. Even bottom of the barrel SEC teams, like you're going to tell me that they couldn't get a Ole Miss on the schedule or a Georgia basketball on the schedule? Like I don't necessarily buy that a whole heck of a lot.
I think it's going to be interesting to see where the committee seeds them.
Yeah, me too.
If I'm on the committee, I'll give them the 4. I'll give them a 4 seed. Top 3, not for me. No.
I think 4 would be their ceiling. I could also see them being most realistic, probably a 5.
Yeah.
Being in that 5-12 matchup.
Seeing that, I think, is dangerous because now you're giving a 5-12, and that's if I'm them, I'm pissed. Like,
yeah.
But it comes down to the schedule. It comes down to the athletic department and scheduling, and that's just kind of the way it shakes out.
Yeah.
If they tried and other school says thanks but no thanks, don't know. But
yeah, but they've had a hell of a season. I mean, no matter where they get seeded, if you go undefeated in college basketball these days,
sure.
I mean, there's so much parity in college basketball. Yes, some of the top players in the are going to the power conferences, but if you look at around the rest of the country at these teams, like there's good players everywhere. Everywhere you go, there are good players right now. So it's just there's a lot of parity, but those top players are obviously going to get the big money and go to the big schools. But all right, gentlemen. So I know we're kind of running short on time here. I wanted to ask you all a couple questions. The first thing I wanted to ask you about are the Louisville Kings. All right, we have the new UFL team that's going to be kicking off literally at Lynn Family Stadium coming up here. It's a new football. They've moved the team essentially. I think from Memphis to Louisville. Yeah. There was really not a whole lot of talk about this team until they named Chris Redman as the head coach, and then all of a sudden this has really kind of exploded. There's a lot. I think they've basically sold out the first game that's going to be coming up. They've got some really big names that they've brought in from some of our regional schools to try to hype up people to really get them interested. But want to get your all's thoughts on this, right? It's spring football. I know that there are UFL followers out there that are going to say, "Oh, it's pro football," but it's spring football. So I have a different take on this. I've seen a lot of people talking about this, on social media and things like they say, "Oh, it's professional football. It's not minor league football." I'm actually in the camp that it is minor league football, right? These are players that aren't in the NFL. They need another place to play to try to get back in the NFL or to build their credentials. But would love your all's perspective on the UFL, the Louisville Kings playing here at home in Louisville. And are you excited about this team being here?
I personally am excited for it. and I might be in the minority here, but I'm actually glad to see them playing at Lynn Family Stadium. I think for the optics, it will show a much fuller stadium and give a much better feel on TV.
Yeah.
I think they've done a good job of trying to bring in some local, former Louisville and Kentucky players. You got two bigger names on the Kentucky side. You got Benny Snell Jr. and Lynn Bowden Jr. from Kentucky on the team, which is going to bring a lot of local people.
Yeah.
Then you got on the Louisville side, you got Lorenzo Molden, former defensive end who was a great player here. Tyler Hudson, Willie Tyler the third, and Des Fitzpatrick on the more recent side.
Yeah.
Not to mention Lucky Jackson from Western Kentucky.
Yep, I was about to say him as well. He's from Lexington as well. And then, you got a couple other guys have Kentucky ties, like Matt Brown. He went to Ole Miss, but then Jerome Robinson as well from the Kentucky area.
Yeah.
And obviously the head coach, Chris Redmond.
Yeah.
I wish the players would stay here and practice here versus, going to Texas and flying in. I think that's going to hurt overall. But yeah, I'm excited for it. I'm going to watch it for sure.
Yeah, I'm the same boat. I'm in the same boat. This city has been begging for a professional team of some sort.
Yeah.
And when and look how they've turned out for LouCity. I know plenty of people that would not classify themselves as soccer fans, but go to the LouCity games to socialize and hang out, and they've said nothing but the nicest things about it. How it's a fun night out. It's a beautiful ballpark. It's not crazy expensive like some of NFL games would be.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a great atmosphere, which it is. It is. So I'm of the mindset of Louisville Kings can be the exact same.
Mm-hmm.
Sure, we'd like them to practice here and be here and try and
part of the community
and try and get a little more involvement with the community, and make it our team. But I still think they'll be very well supported. It's football. It may not be the NFL. I'm of the mindset of it is professional football. These guys are being paid to play the game.
Absolutely. Definition, yep.
Not one of them wants to stop being paid to play football.
Right.
Like, this is what they are choosing as a profession. They have trained their bodies for 20-some years now, if not 30-some years now for some of these guys. And this is their life dream is to make it to the NFL. Now, that being said, this is a stepping stone, hopefully, to an NFL dream, to make an NFL roster, to get called to NFL tryouts at the very least. But I'm still, I'm going to watch them on TV. I'm going to get tickets from them. I'm going to take the kids to see them. We're going to cheer really loud. We're going to buy some Louisville Kings gear. And this is going to be our football team now.
Do you guys like the uniforms? The bright green.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it.
I don't either. Like, it stands out.
It does.
That's pretty cool looking. Like, I dig it. I dig it.
Yeah.
Is there a rule? What's your favorite rule of the UFL that you like and you don't like? Or to say that right?
I don't like the 2 and the 3 and the 4-point conversions. Or the 1, 2, and 3. Sorry, the 1, 2, and 3-point conversions. I'm not a fan of that. I do, however, like. Well, I don't know if I do or not now that I think about it. The 60-yard field goal.
The 4-point?
Being worth 4 point. I just, at some point, like, that actually comes into a
strategy. If you're at a 55, if you're 55, do you take a 5-yard loss to go back and get the 4-point try?
Sure.
That's
like
down 3.
Yeah. Like,
I don't go for the tie.
I don't necessarily like that. I like the receiver running toward the line of scrimmage, the head start, essentially. I do like that. I wish that would be something that the NFL would adopt, because, I mean, you look at some of these receivers like an A.J. Brown or a Tyreek Hill, you give them a head start. Good Lord, man.
Yeah, that'd be tough.
Yeah, I think points could definitely skyrocket, which makes the game more exciting.
I personally like the 3-point conversion after the touchdown. It adds a little
really?
bit. It adds it. But you got to. I don't remember the yard line that you start on, whether it's the 10 or the 15, but I don't mind that.
No, I
the
think
one
it's not that
I'm
far,
not a fan.
Is it the 10? It might be the 10-yard line.
Plays
for the
8-yard
line.
Yes.
Okay.
Looking at it. I'm not a fan of the no punting inside the 50-yard line.
I like it.
You're not a fan of that?
I like it.
You like the position game?
There are certain times where I think that would, if you're really wanting to,
Well, but at that point, Adam, if you're close, but if you're close enough for that, why wouldn't you go for the 4 points?
Then weather comes into play on that a lot too, especially you wind, rain. Okay, you can't make a 60-yard field goal, but if you're 4th and 27 and you're on the 49-yard line, you're in a no-win situation.
Well,
yeah.
All stuff Coach Redmond gets to think about, and we just get to sit back and watch.
Exactly. I'd love to see the offenses just stay on the field in that situation, right? If you're not going to punt, you're going to go for it. But there's going to be a lot. I think there's a lot happening there at midfield, right, in the UFL. So there's a lot of options. The teams have a lot more options from a field goal perspective. Potentially, not being able to punt, that gives them a little bit more reason to keep the ball and actually go for it to try to make the game more exciting.
And I get why they're doing that, to try to get something else exciting, get people wanting to watch it. And it makes sense why they're doing it for business wise.
The offense and the long kicks like that, oohs and ahs for sure. Yeah.
So their opening game at Lynn Family Stadium is on March 27th at 8:00. They're going to be playing the 3-time spring league champions, Birmingham Stallions. So that's going to be a big game. Jimmy's already booing them. So that's going to be a really
don't bring
really
it
big
in
game.
here.
Yeah, that's going to be a really good one. I know. I think based on their last messages that they sent out, the game is very close to being sold out. I think they just had standing room only tickets for the game. So that's going to be really, really interesting. I do want to kind of
Fox this year, or that game will be on Fox.
Absolutely, yeah. So we can watch those on TV as well, which is awesome for the fans in the local area, especially if that game does end up getting sold out. It gives everybody a chance to kind of see the team, decide if they want to, go in for the rest of the season. So that'll be fantastic. I do want to really quickly just switch gears because I really want to mention the success of the Bellarmine Knights wrestling team. They actually had 2 of their wrestlers won the Southern Conference championship. And let me take a look here. So we have Jeb Prechtel in the 157-pound weight class. He was the number 6 seed overall. He ended up defeating the number 3, the number 2, and the number 1 seed from Citadel. In really what they said was really a thriller. If you watch that, it was really, really exciting bout between those two. 11-10, he won the Southern Conference championship there at his weight class. And then Grant Odell in the 174-pound weight class, he was the number 4 seed and ended up coming away with a 4-3 decision over the number 2 ranked Citadel, Jacob Silka, in the championship bout as well. So a couple guys from Bellarmine really repping well. They're going to go to the Southern Conference championship, to the national championships. And there will likely be more as those are announced for some of the other seeding into the national championship, similar to last year. This is their second year that they've been eligible for postseason for Bellarmine since they went D1. So really, they actually scored the most points this year in their history. So I think they scored 88.5 points, I think, was how much they scored in the championship. Which was a new record for Bellarmine. So a big shout out to the Bellarmine Knights on their wrestling success.
Yeah, good job.
And then just wrapping things up, gentlemen. So there's Louisville City and Racing Louisville are kicking off their season. LouCity had a big opening away game at Lexington SC. They came back and fought hard in the second half for a 2-1 victory with Aiden McFadden's goal sealing the victory for the boys in purple. A huge record crowd, 8,200 in Lexington for that matchup between, a really big rival now here between Lexington and Louisville in the USL Championship.
I'd love to see that.
That's gonna be fun.
Yeah. What did you all think of? What did you all think of that matchup?
Well, from reading some of the post-game interview, it looked like Coach Cruz was not too impressed with LouCity's first half performance.
Yeah.
He came out and just said that there wasn't enough quality on the ball. That first game of the year, they've got to get better. They have a lot of time to get better too. So he wasn't he wasn't too pleased, to say the very least, but very happy with 3 points. And the fact that they drew 8,000, that's awesome. Like, I would love for this to actually start, being a decent sized rivalry. I think that's really cool. But go City, and congrats on the win, and keep going.
Yeah, I know Coach wasn't happy about that, like their performance in the first half, but coming back, I mean, it's good for them. But they also lost, a couple players last year, so it's going to take the team a few games, a little bit, to kind of get used to the new team and kind of get that
gel together.
And gel together a little bit. So anytime you get a win, especially on the road, take it and run. But great win early on.
Walk away with 3 points for sure.
Yeah, and they're setting a good high bar for themselves. That's for sure.
Yeah, expectations are high.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. So great opening win. Head coach Danny Cruz made some really big changes coming out of halftime in that game, which really, I think, changed the fortunes for LouCity. They came out on the front foot, immediately started kind of taking over possession, really dominating possession in the second half, and ultimately got the win with Aiden McFadden's goal. So huge win for LouCity to open the season against a big rival here now, even though they're in the Western Conference. Gentlemen, the other team I want to talk about is Racing Louisville. They have their season opener on March 14th, so coming up next weekend. That's going to be on the road at North Carolina Courage. They've got some new young players on the team, but coming off their first ever playoff appearance for Racing Louisville last year, just a lot of expectations for this team. I think a lot of people have them projected as a playoff team again this year, but there's a couple new expansion teams in the league. What are your all's thoughts on Racing Louisville going into the new season?
I'm personally excited to see what they can do coming off of last year, and I really hope kind of the fans get out there after seeing them, how well they did this year, get a lot more people out there. But they're starting to set their expectations higher.
And they're not going to surprise anybody. Like last year, they were a pleasant surprise, but now I think they're going to be looked at as as a more formidable opponent, and teams are going to not that anybody would sleep on them, but they definitely, like I said, they're not going to surprise anybody again this year. Whenever Rodman comes to town, the home opener, that'll be pretty cool to see. I don't, with her health and whatnot, whether or not she's going to play is a different story. But that's going to be a good challenge for them. That's the team that I believe, Adam, didn't they knock them out of the playoffs last year?
Yes.
Same team. Yeah. Yep. So a little revenge game coming up for the ladies. Hopefully they can walk away with 3 points from there. That'd be really cool to start the season and avenge a loss at the playoffs last year.
Yeah, and so that home opener is March 20th versus the Washington Spirit. That's Trinity Rodman and company there. So that'll be a really big matchup for Racing Louisville. Hope to see you all at that match.
Yeah, Friday the 20th, 8 o'clock. Yeah,
that's right. Absolutely.
A lot of tickets available. Get out there and watch them.
Yeah, I'll see you guys at Lynn Family Stadium. We got a lot going on. We've got LouCity, we've got Racing Louisville, now we've got the Louisville Kings, all at Lynn Family Stadium. So get out and enjoy that beautiful stadium. The weather's going to start being really good here in the spring, so should be fantastic for both types of football as we get out on the pitch at Lynn Family Stadium. Really wanted to have a really big shout out here for a Louisville legend. I think she's really become really well known in the Paralympics. Oksana Masters, she went to and graduated from Atherton High School. She just got her 20th ever Paralympic medal. Which of those 10 are gold medals. Just an incredible accomplishment across multiple disciplines. But she won the parabiathlon yesterday in Milan. And just a huge shout out to Oksana Masters for an incredible victory again. I think she has at least one more event that she's going to be in at the Paralympics.
Got, cross-country skiing, and she might have like a long-distance biathlon. There might be a second biathlon.
Ooh, biathlon. It's back.
Yes.
There you go. Yep, absolutely.
So, yeah, shout out to her. She's doing doing great.
Yeah.
Congrats to her
congrats
and all
to her,
her
for sure.
success.
All jokes aside, that's
awesome.
unbelievable.
It is.
20 medals. Wow.
I think she deserves a hometown heroes banner. Frankly, you know, she hails from Louisville. She's done incredible. She's won more medals than any other U.S. woman in Paralympic history. You know, and being, you know, hailing from Louisville, representing, you know, our city and state. I really do. I think she deserves that. So we'll have to look into.
I don't know what the requirements are, but I feel like she's met and exceeded every one of them.
Absolutely.
Well said.
Well, gentlemen, a really great show. Thank you all for coming on. I wanted to just encourage everybody to go on to our YouTube channel, our Spotify channel. You can watch the video of our podcast there. Please get out and support our friends over at Take Tie, who continue to support our show and our local coverage of sports around the 502. We really appreciate it. And for Jimmy Nolan and Adam Wilkinson, I'm Adam Hitt, and we'll see you next time on another edition of 502 Sports.